Hi, I'm going to show in GB Studio how you can make something occur only once. Now, here's an example, an actor that you can interact with, and he says, show me your papers. So yeah, mild spoilers for my game Earth. Maybe you want to just play it first if you want. A very short game. You can find it in the description below. But yeah, so if you talk to the person right now, this is what happens. Standard dialog box. You interact, it says, show me your papers. But you press it again, he says it again and again and again. So maybe you don't want that to happen. Or another example, maybe there's a trigger here. And then when you step onto this, he says, I'll put a dialog box there. He says, hey, you can't go through the gates yet. Right. So you don't want that to happen every single time. You only want it to happen once. So I'll show you how I like to do it. I don't know if this is the best way, but I found it works quite well. And if you have your own way, you can explain how you do it too in the comments. So what I like to do is I put an if statement. If true, if variable is true, and I can use a local variable here, which means it's specific to that actor, a variable that kind of like is attached to the actor. So I'll say talked to Guy. So if talk to Guy is true, then I'll put a stop script inside. And I can turn off the else. Now, I'll put the dialog below. And I'm going to put a set variable to true here. Talk to Guy equals true. Now, with this, you can only, you'll only say the statement once. Show me your papers. Same with this here. I'll just copy this to demonstrate. Copy everything here. And I'll put it in here also. Paste or replace. And this has its own local variable. Right? Notice this is no longer the same as this one here, which was talk to Guy. This one has its own, so I'll say, I don't know, no gate, no cross gate. Okay. All right. So let's walk through the logic, how this works. Or maybe you already get it, I don't know. But what's happening is the first time you talk to the guy, talk to Guy starts off as false. All variables start off as false. So when you first talk to him, the variable is false. Right. So if talk to Guy is false, is not going to do this because this is if talk to Guy is true. And although it doesn't say equal equal true, this just means if talk to Guy is true. So the first time you haven't talked to him, and it will flip the variable here and will make it true, and it will show the dialog. But the second time you do it, now talk to Guy is already true, so this will become true, which means it will run this stop script. So then this stop script means that everything below this point will not run. It just stops everything. So then you won't see this again. So that's a nice way you can make something happen only once. And I do this over and over and over again in my game. In fact, if you do this a lot, you could even make a function or a script here. I already have it here. I'll show you what I made here. Or I'll make one so you can understand how to do it. So let's say you call it only once gate. And I'm just going to give it number 2 because I already have that in my, I already created this earlier. Okay, so you can put the same thing in here. An if statement, if true, if the variable is true. Already done. Whatever makes sense in your brain. So if already done, stop script. Don't need the else, right? And then you flip the variable here. Set it to true. Now this is a really handy shortcut. So I could just go over here and I don't need all this now. I can just call script and then only once gate. Right? And you give it a variable, talk to guy. And then you don't need to do all this stuff. You put this below it, right? So now, this is a really quick way to do it. You just call the script and you put whatever you want to occur only once below it. So let's also put it over here. Let's just do this here. Call script only once gate. No cross gate. Right, so now let's try it. And while it's loading, I'll explain why I like to do it this way. I find if you put everything in an if statement, like I could put everything within the if statement or within the else of the if statement, but that starts to get cluttered because you'll start to have if statements within if statements within if statements. This is one way to avoid going in one level, which could keep it easier to read and a little simpler. Because you might not just display dialogue, you might have a lot of other complex conditions inside of the interaction. Right, so that's why I like to do this. It keeps it simple, and scripts are great because then you write a lot less, and you can change everything all at once quickly. So here's an example. Interact, right? He only says it once. I press it again, nothing happens. Same with the gate. I walk into it, and it says you can't go through yet. And then the second time you can just go right through. That doesn't actually make sense for this situation in my game, but I'm just showing you how you could use this logic. Right. So, and you may have noticed like how the animation kind of gets stuck. Like the first time, like he's still walking. That's kind of like I don't know, I consider it almost like a glitch. I know it's probably not really a bug, but I have to fix it every single time. So this is where scripts are great because like I can just add something here which will fix it. Insert event before. And then how to stop that from happening is you set the direction, set actor direction of player. And you set the direction, this is a little weird, set the direction to property, and then you swap it to direction. Right, it's a little weird. Okay, one more time. Here, click this, property, and then you choose direction. So what that means is you're setting the direction of player to the direction that he is already facing. And that fixes that little bug where the animation keeps playing. But now you'll notice like I just change it here once, and this will also work because this uses the only once gate also. Right? So every time, like it changes it throughout the whole game if you just keep using scripts. That's why I love to use scripts because you only have to change the code in one place. Like it's a pretty good programming idea. Don't repeat yourself. So find ways to don't have duplicated code. Just have some way to have all the logic in one spot. So the logic is all in the only once script here. So let's watch the magic. I mean, I think you know it works exactly the same way, but let's just do it. Okay, so here we go, right? Interact, show me your papers. Second time, nothing happens. Um, First time, walk into the trigger area. You can't go through yet. And notice the animation is stopped. Second time, right, doesn't say anything. And in my game, um, you you may notice, see how he's kind of too far up. Maybe you want the interaction to occur like when he's standing right here. But the problem is the actor is a little higher. So an easy way to get around that is just move it down and then use an empty, I could make a new one here. If you're doing it from scratch, this is what I did. I put an actor here and then I made a blank image, just the transparent green of the sprite. I call it blank. So then you don't see anything. And you can put all the interactions on that then. And this actually, originally when I didn't have color, this guy, it wasn't a sprite. It wasn't a actor. It was just the background. Yeah, so that's a technique I like to use. Avoid having if statements within if statements. This keeps it very simple, and it's great. I like it. So yeah, I hope this was useful to you. If you have other ways of doing this, I'd be interested in knowing how you do it. And you can like, subscribe, check out my game Earth. If you buy the ROM, you actually can get the GB Studio files of this. And you can see all of this logic. There's lots of stuff that maybe you'd find useful. You can take the logic and reuse it in your own game. Um, Stuff like I have a script here for moving characters, like moving an actor near an actor, and you can put like how offset it is. Like maybe you want the character to move to the right of another character or an actor, like move the player to the right of an actor. So you could call this script, put in a 2 here, put in a 0 offset for the Y, and then you would just be to the right of the character. Yeah, so lots of really useful scripts but I'm going to be slowly going through these and posting a lot of this on YouTube anyway. So even if you don't have the GB Studio files, you can just watch the videos and you'll know how to do it too. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope this was useful. Bye bye.